For years, the American public has been victimized by the so-called cinematic geniuses, telling us time and again to see inferior movies, leaving us bitter and lost with nowhere to turn. But no more! This travesty of justice cannot and will not continue, because we now have the Cinema Judge!
Hello and welcome to the Cinema Judge. We here at the Cinema Judge will take a few moments to inform you, the jury, more about our show. First of all, ladies and gentlemen, clearly, we are not journalists. We haven't gone to any elite Ivy League school and paid thousands of dollars to have somebody else tell us what it takes to make a good movie. We're smarter than that, and so are you. Nor have we traveled the world and spoken to the old wise men and asked about the deep, hidden meanings behind Hollywood's visions. We here at the Cinema Judge, we haven't done any of these things. But what we have done is watch a lot of movies. Some good, some not so good. And our goal here at the Cinema Judge is to have one thing, to have an enjoyable movie experience. Now before I get to today's show, Star Wars, The Rise of Skywalker, let me talk to you a little bit about what we do here. I've been doing this show now on cable access in Bloomington, Minnesota for 20 years now. And what we do is we collect information from the studios. They send us their press kit. And what we do is we take the interviews, the trailer, the behind the scenes footage, even the premiere footage. We make it into one giant infomercial. So what we do is we make one giant show, collect the evidence, put it together, and we ask you, the jury, do you want to see this film? We try not to, impose our opinions on it or whatever. I'll tell you if I like the movie or if I don't like the movie. But I'm not going to attack the filmmaker. I'm not going to attack the actor. Hey, they're out there doing something. If you could do better, do it. Write a script. Write a movie. Write something. Prove that you could do better. But if you're going to sit here and just rip somebody just because they made a movie that you didn't like, well, get over it. I don't want to hear about it. So that's what we do. We present you the evidence. And if you don't like it, then don't see it. That's all we ask, because any movie is somebody's favorite movie. So now, coming up to today's show with Star Wars, The Rise of Skywalker. Now, everybody in the world has their opinion about where this has gone and what's happened to it. See, here's how I see it. Any movie that has come after the first originals, it doesn't affect how I feel about the originals. I don't care if I like or love the movies that have come in between. Some of them have been great, some not so great. But my point is, it'll never take away the original feeling of when I went to go see that film in 1977, standing in line, watching it for the first time. It was magical. Anything after that, hey, that's just gravy. If it's not good, so what? It's never going to change how I felt about the originals. So, everything after this, hey, it will never be, it cannot be what it was. Because technology has changed, society has changed, what have you. Just watch the film and enjoy it. Again, I'm not going to give any spoilers away on this film at all. Whether I liked it, didn't like it, any clue at all. I just ask people just to get over yourself and just, like what happened sadly with the last film with Rian Johnson. If you don't like it, you don't like it. But my goodness, all you trolls, constantly, whatever movie they're talking about, you have to throw in him. Come on, give it up. He made a movie. If you don't like it, don't see it. Move on. There's other movies that come out every Friday. Get over it. So anyway, up next, we're going to have a couple of featurettes. And so first of all, we're going to have this featurette that talks about the legacy of the entire Star Wars film. Here it is. Star Wars The Legacy.
Take a few minutes for the Navi computer to calculate the coordinates.
A few minutes? Are you kidding? At the rate they're gaining?
No, what is it? You have to shoot this. Traveling through hyperspace is like Dustin Crop's kid. Without precise calculations, we fly too close to a store, or bounce into a supermarket, and then...
Yeah.
It'd be a hell of a mess.
What's that?
Watch. You're losing the deflector shields. Go strap yourselves in. Be careful on the way out.
Yeah, sure. I'm taking very cautious.
You go away.
Bounce too near a supermarket?
This is a very simple, basic idea.
It's a story about a farm boy in Nebraska and not on Tatooine.
It was originally designed to be a modern fairy tale.
About good and evil, and what prevails and what doesn't prevail.
It's unlimited, the possibilities of what they can do.
If this one doesn't work out, we're sort of finished. But hopefully it will justify it as a series. Make you say, gee, what happens next?
The whole experience has been so completely unanticipated.
I had my doubts about whether another Star Wars would work.
But I now get that phrase, thank you for my childhood, because it's something that people carry with them now, forever and ever and ever.
As I see it, this is nothing to do with past, present, or future. Star Wars could be in any of those areas.
It's a big part of what makes these films so important to pass on from generation to generation.
I feel honored that I've been allowed to continue the journey.
It's very cool to meet someone inspirational to a generation of moviegoers.
Those that have gone before you, incredible artists in their own right. You delve deeper in your appreciation and respect for that.
Oh my gosh. It feels like I was just in a time machine and I had traveled back to when they first started filming Star Wars.
Roll cameras. If you're a kid watching this 100 years from now, 500 years from now,
Sounds me.
You see this inevitability, this story conclude in a way that feels thrilling and shocking and funny and emotional and satisfying.
I like these films.
I think there's a legacy that's important.
Ready, set, and camera, take 9.
Episode 9 will be a conclusion of a story that is over 40 years in the making.
Action!
So all stops are out and it's all go.
Coming up next, we have a featurette talking about the complete culture of Star Wars.
Insane! The Star Wars phenomenon is captivating the nation with lines
of North America's newspapers is none other than Star Wars Jedi.
You can't run from Star Wars Frenzy.
The very first time I saw the word Star Wars.
217, take 9.
And 3, 2, 1, action!
I was 11 years old. It was in a magazine, and I remember seeing the words and saying aloud, Star Wars.
Star Wars.
Star Wars.
Star Wars.
Have you even seen Star Wars?
She's never seen Star Wars.
Here's some money. Go see a Star Wars.
Star Wars is just an important part of everyone's history.
He signed his action figure.
Right here.
I sat outside the theater to watch them at midnight with my dad.
It was designed to fire the imaginations of every girl or boy who yearns for adventure.
People's love for it, it's just massive.
1, 2, 3, Star Wars!
It's the event that has become a cultural phenomenon.
Guerra de las Galaxias.
Ce n'est pas une victime de princesse.
May the Schwartz be with you!
Star Wars is a milestone for people.
The Force is with us.
I gotta get to Star Wars.
You're more than just fans. You're family.
Lando! Red 5 standing by.
It's something that people carry with them now, forever and ever.
Now with the final trailer for the Skywalker saga release.
I can still be a part of the family costume?
You are my father.
The International Space Station watches The Last Jedi.
Darth Vader was Luke Skywalker's father.
It's about family, and that's what's so powerful about it. They're sharing something that moves them.
You're glad that you're finishing, but savoring every moment because you know it is the last.
Up next, we have another featurette. This featurette talks about friendship, family, and what it means to some of the actors, filmmakers, for what it's meant for the actors who's participated in this film from the beginning to the now, about how it all connects together and they're all one big family.
Star Wars. It means family. The emotion of it all. Making a film with people that you really love. And this is the last one. Like, it's crazy.
What are you doing there, 3PO?
Taking one last look at my friends.
Roll cameras. The feeling on set is one of joy.
I really like with this film that we get a lot more scenes together, especially myself, Oscar, and Daisy.
The dynamic between us three is capturing some of that spirit of the original films.
It feels like kids going on an adventure.
Cut. That was great.
And then it was fun too, because I hadn't properly worked with Oscar before. And he and John are hilarious.
That's my boy, man. We can be a bit cheeky sometimes, but as long as he's right next to me, I can do anything.
Backwards. The Star Wars universe has created friendships that have lasted for 40 plus years.
I've fallen deeply, deeply in love with this man.
So to capture that spirit and bring it to a conclusion has been such an amazing task.
It felt nice to stand there with Daisy and Oscar, and we're kind of like, whoa, wow, like this is truly the end of our contribution to this saga.
But the legacy will carry on.
Coming up next, we have Daisy Ridley, who plays Rey, and she talks about some of her relationships in the film Star Wars: The Rise of Skywalker.
It's been really fun because I hadn't properly worked with Oscar before. We'd done like 2 tiny scenes together. And so when you come in, I think the first time you see us on screen, we're arguing. And JJ's thing was, it's been like a year, I think, since The Last Jedi, a year or 2 or something. And so he was basically like, your relationship has grown off screen. It's just the audience haven't seen it. And to come into a bit of a frictious friendship is really fun, because that's how friends are. They're like, you're annoying, shut up, I'm trying to do the right thing, so are you. And I really liked that. It was really fun playing that with Oscar too. And then John always being the guy that's like, oh my God, can we move on? It was great. It was great. And there are moments in it that are so sweet, so sweet. And there was a scene in the film where we sort of just hug for ages. And it was weird because we did it months ago, so we weren't even close to finishing. But it was so moving. And I think really that was the thing that made me think, this is the last one. Like, it's crazy.
Coming up next, we have Adam Driver, who plays Kylo Ren. Now, this guy has such talent and skill. I would have never thought it when I first saw him in the first Star Wars that he was in, that he would become such a great actor. He's been in so many stuff since, in who knows what he'll do in the future. But anyway, here he is talking about the script of Star Wars: The Rise of Skywalker.
I mean, that's the script was really great. There is an overall journey that JJ had said to me that about the character from the very beginning in our very first meeting that I've been holding on to for 6 years. So hopefully the satisfying thing about it is, now we've been working towards this thing and now we get to do it.
Up next, we have John Boyega, who plays Finn, talking a little bit more about the script also. So check it out. Here he is.
With this one, it wraps it up in a nice red bow tie, and then you look back at the first film, The Force Awakens, you realise that everything has led to this moment. And for me, discussing that with JJ and talking to him about it creatively was something that was always a main topic for us, but something that I'm very, very excited about. You know, it felt nice to stand there with, and it's just me, Daisy, and Oscar. I'm kind of like, oh wow, like this is truly it. Like the three, main characters in this story, and it's a blessing and an honor.
Up next, we have Daisy Ridley, who plays Rey, talking about the themes of this film.
I think it will be really moving. I've found it's really emotional for me, at least, and I think it has been for other people. But it's really big themes that are sort of, if you took away the space element, it's just like people trying to figure it out and confronted with these really difficult obstacles. And that, I think, is the transcending thing of you could take this all away, and obviously the space thing is the thing, it's Star Wars. But it's these really moving, small and big stories that are all interlinked, and how one thing cause and effect, like one thing, how that's affecting the fate of the galaxy. So hopefully people will feel that watching it.
Up next, we have Anthony Daniels, who plays C-3PO. Now, just on a side note, on a personal level, I should say, ever since this movie has begun back in 1977, I loved this character. His humor, his vulnerability, his honesty, everything about him. I wish they would have paid more attention to him in all the following up films. I realize everybody cares about everybody else, but I loved his character, especially his relationship with R2-D2 and everything else. He's just nervous and freaked out, like probably I would be if all this stuff was happening around me. But I know that all these other shows are making out on, Disney Plus with Obi-Wan Kenobi and The Mandalorian, which is phenomenal. If you haven't seen Mandalorian, make sure you see this show. It is perfect. It's how I wish the arc of all Star Wars would have gone. But like I said, you can't look back. You just got to appreciate what is. But The Mandalorian, oh my goodness, perfect show. Jon Favreau, you, sir, are the man. If they have to pick somebody for the future of Star Wars, of the way it should be, Jon Favreau, you, sir, are the man. You are the future of Star Wars. Anyway, so that was a bit of a rant, but Anthony Daniels, what he did with that character is just, I can't even tell you how much, every time I see him on the screen, it makes me feel good. I sit back and go like, I remember when I was younger watching him. Anyway, it's going to be, I hope maybe someday, somehow, they could have a side story of him, maybe his own little story. I realize that will never happen because he's too big of a character, but I said, since I have this little time, I had to say how much I love his character and what he's done with it. And I just hope there's a future for him. Anyway, here he is talking about his experiences, his memories of playing this role.
Yesterday was my last day ever, I think, on a Star Wars set, at least as far as 3PO is concerned, because finally I did the last shot on episode 9, and it was strange for me and quite moving, quite sort of, as they say, bittersweet moment. Making movies is hard work and fun, and the great joy for me, of course, is throughout Star Wars, I've been C-3PO all through the episodes, 1 to 9 now, and to finally hit the end was quite something. To have actually managed to survive this long, in every sense of the word, was it was a telling moment. I've been in Star Wars since day one out in Tunisia in 1976, and that memory stays with me very strongly.
All we've done, all this time.
What are you doing there, 3PO?
Taking one last look, sir, at my friends.
Confronting fear. It's the destiny of a Jedi. Your destiny.
We're all in this. Till the end.
3PO's never been a kind of protagonist. He's not the big hero character, of course. And he's more reactionary than, somebody who actually promotes the action. But here he's with a group of people, Poe and Finn and Rey and Chewie, going off on this adventure to find the thing. It's always finding the thing, isn't it? And he's there in the thick of it. And above just being part of a delightful team, JJ and Chris wrote kind of sequences where other things built up. So 3PO's always had some kind of antagonism between him and another character. It used to be Han Solo. It was always really, really very rude to 3PO, very dismissive. But very good drama, It was delightful working with Harrison like that. And now in this one, you have Poe, Oscar Isaac. What can I say? Adorable, brilliant. And somehow within the writing, Poe just gets irritated with 3PO all the time. And 3PO is kind of oblivious because Poe's a really nice guy and he's kind of subtle about being irritated by 3PO. And the way Oscar plays it is just so wonderfully subtle and real. I'm like, does he have to come? That's so cruel. And in rehearsal, Oscar and I just used to laugh at these delicious lines, these encounters between the two characters.
Confronting fear. It's the destiny of a Jedi. Your destiny.
If this mission fails, it was all for nothing.
We're not alone. Good people will fight if we lead them.
Your journey nears its end.
Star Wars: The Rise of Skywalker.
Up next, we have Daisy Ridley, who plays Rey, who talks about a fight sequence that she had to practice with Adam Driver, who plays Kylo Ren.
In terms of the acting stuff, I always knew that I would have a great time working with him, but the fight was a bit scary. But then once we got into it, it was pretty cool because I think we'd done a couple things together. We had done scenes together, but the fight, because it took so long, it's not often that you shoot something for 6 days. It was great in terms of communication, because I'd be like, oh, if you could just move a bit that way, and he'd be like, oh, if we could just start. It was really nice to be able to have that relationship, because you suddenly think, oh, it's more like a choreographed dance thing. And it felt like it really paid off, because I think we both really knew what we were doing and how we were feeling, and it was great. And then we picked up a scene yesterday that we had done his version of, and working with him is great.
Up next, we have Adam Driver, who plays Kylo Ren, talking about some of the themes of this film.
I don't know. Certainly family is a huge theme. A found family versus lineage that you're attached to, and then what about that lineage do you, or your history, do you identify with, and what do you not? What about that history do you deny, and what do you accept? I think that's a big theme for my character.
Up next, we have Daisy Ridley, who plays Rey, talking about director J.J.
He is a Star Wars fan. His knowledge is so huge. And then because he made Episode 7, his knowledge of that is so huge. The linking of it all together, I think, is amazing. And with Chris, who is like nerd, like I saw him with 10 versions of, what was the book? It was some canonized universe, something or other that I'd never seen before, and he had 10 versions of it. So his knowledge of that side is so huge. The combination, I think, is great. So Chris has these ideas, and then JJ sort of gets I feel like JJ gets it to the thing of us all understanding it, because obviously JJ created it, so his dialogue really is what I understand. So I think it's a very worthy ending. I hope obviously other people do, but the feeling on set is one of joy, and I think everybody here feels really good about what we're doing, and I think that will go onto the screen.
Up next, we have J.J. Abrams talking about the chemistry between some of the actors.
Their dynamic in life kind of mirrors their dynamic as these characters. I mean, you can't find two people who have more of a sort of wonderful love and respect for each other than Daisy and John. Oscar and John are literally hysterical together. Oscar and Daisy have it really is this lucky thing where we happen to cast these actors who, bring these characters to life, and yet at the same time, what the story that we're telling strangely mirrors the dynamic that they have on set. So it's a funny thing, kind of watching watching them when I say cut, they're sort of still just doing their thing because that's naturally who they are. It's kind of wonderful.
Up next, we have J.J. Abrams talking about the great, the master, the all-time cinematic creator of so many music that we have grown up with. So many movies, if you really look back at it. He has touched our lives in so many ways. And here's J.J. Abrams talking about the great John Williams.
For me, getting to, watch him conduct, hearing the music that he's written, being part of at all, his remarkable body of work was just, an opportunity I could not possibly say no to. And I think when you hear the new cues that he has written for the movie, some of them are just so moving and beautiful. Some are just wonderful, and they're kind of evil and sort of bombast. Some are just crazy, powerful in their energy and tension. And he's just like no other composer. So I can't obviously say enough about the man or his work. And, it goes without saying, he's taken everything that we've done and elevated it to be so much more and so much better. But I'm just in awe of the guy.
We hope you've enjoyed our extended look at Star Wars, The Rise of Skywalker. Now, if you guys have any questions, comments, concerns, ways to improve the show, please feel free to send me a message at cinemajudge@hotmail.com. I really appreciate all the input from all around the world, actually, from New York, Wisconsin, LA, to even people around here. I mean, like recently when I was at the airport, for the people at JetBlue, Southwest Airlines, you have a great group. I really appreciate your input. I really appreciate talking to me about the show. All over the world, I truly appreciate what you have to say. Some people like certain things, some people don't. That's great. Feel free to share. I don't care. Anytime. cinemajudge@hotmail.com. I'm Jeff. Thanks for listening to The Cinema Judge.